So when you open the box, first thing you're going to get is some paperwork. You have your airsoft gun catalog from G&G. All the guns that they make are in here. You have like their little M4 line you can look at, as well as their like more M4s. We've got AKs somewhere in here. But yeah, basically it's just all the guns that G&G makes. They like to put in these so that you buy more. They also have the custom rewards program thing on the back. You can scan this QR code and it'll take you to a website that tells you more about it. You get an instruction manual telling you how to operate your gun at the basic level. It's basically just telling you how to adjust the motor, how to insert a magazine, a bunch of stuff like that. It's got different languages in there too. You have a warranty card. For the CM16 you get a 90-day warranty, so if you're going to break it then. And if you own a higher end G&G, it's for 13 months. So just keep that in mind if you're looking for something with a better warranty. Now, if you order a battery and charger package, you'll get a battery and charger, but otherwise you're going to get one of these things. It's basically just a cardboard slip telling you that the charging pack was optional. You have your 450 round metal high capacity magazine. It holds 450 rounds. It's pretty standard. You have your loading well right there, feeding tube, a few trades here on the left side, say 5.56 by 45 millimeter. Then you have some G&G armament trades on the bottom where the winding wheel is. So there's that. You have your unjamming rod and cleaning rod right here. I suggest that you keep this just in case you'll ever need it for something like another gun. These are usually pretty breakable, so if you have multiple, that's always a good thing. And then you get, of course, the gun itself. So I'm going to start from the left of the gun, and then I will go all the way to the right. You can probably already notice that there's something off right here. I removed the orange flash hider that came on the gun. It's a very, very big pain to do so. I recommend anybody who's going to do that, you use a Dremel or some kind of power tool. A hacksaw really isn't all that effective, as the plastic they use is probably just as good as what they have on the rails and receiver. Right here on the triangle post is metal. It basically holds the entire upper assembly together, besides from the upper receiver. So the attempt to like take this thing off is pretty futile. There's no pin you can take it out with. However, your little sling right here, your little sling mount or whatever, you can go ahead and knock the pin out on that and then just remove it. You have a plastic rail system. It's pretty standard. You have left, top, bottom, and right marked. Oh, and by the way, before I move any further, you have 14mm counterclockwise threads on this outer barrel. So yeah, you have your standard plastic rail. I do believe it's about 6 inches long. You have a G&G armament logo at the top. Then you have your plastic upper receiver, plastic lower receiver, with more G&G trades. Really don't care for them all that much, but I feel like the gun's a pretty good value, so I'm not going to complain. You have metal mag release, plastic bolt catch, metal firing selector, which is pretty snappy. Keep that in mind if you're going into stealth ops or something like that, because you'll be able to hear it when you switch, unless you switch it slowly or something like that. You have a metal trigger, plastic pistol grip, a metal rear sight. This is just a normal rear post sight. It's not a carry handle, obviously. You have your metal bolt catch, which does nothing. We'll refer back to that here in a minute. You have a single post or a single point sling mount right here, where you can just put a sling on the left side of the gun. There's no sling on the right side, so for any of you guys that are left-handed, you're kind of out of luck unless you buy another sling mount. Here's the metal buffer tube that you have, and your plastic crane stock where the battery is housed. So we flip the gun over, and you have a forward assist right here. It's metal, and you can push it in, but it doesn't actually function to do anything. And then you have your dust cover, which a lot of people like to complain about, but opening it's really not a big deal. You just have to use your fingernails, and that's not, I mean, unless you clip it down to the quick, it's really not that hard to open this thing up. So when you open it up, obviously, as with all our AR variants, you reveal the front end of the gearbox and the hop-up unit. The hop-up unit utilizes a G&G green bucking, and if I'm not mistaken, G&G is actually putting in aluminum, aluminum inner barrels on their CM16s these days, so that's something to look forward to as far as durability is concerned with the inner barrel. Brass is what most airsoft guns are issued out with, so it's a nice change of pace to see G&G do this with their $160 gun. So to take the crane stock out to put in your battery, all you have to do is push forward on this little lever right here and then pull down and then pull all the way back out and out, just like you saw me do earlier. Another way to change a battery is to see these two pins right here. Well, they're two little clips, I suppose. You can press in on these clips, and with some force you can take this bad boy off, and then you'll have another plate to remove right here, and there you go. That's your battery compartment right there. You can remove these two bits down here if you have a bigger LiPo or nunchuck 9.6 or whatever that you need to fit in there, but I just prefer to keep them in there if I can manage, which it's a bit of a pain to get them back in sometimes if you don't know what you're doing. Alright, so the battery space really leaves a lot to be desired. There's 18 AWG wiring on this gun, which is, I mean, that's pretty standard, and there's also a fuse, which is also pretty standard, but with this gun being buffer tube, I have to say that G&P, which, I mean, let me put emphasis on that, G&P, not G&G, G&P, does a better job with their buffer tube wiring, even though they use a thicker type, which is 16 AWG, in case you didn't know. G&G, though, even with their 18 AWG wiring, you don't have that much room at all for like a LiPo or anything like that. And as you can see, it's quite a pain to fold the fuse back in, because the gun comes with a fuse folded in there with the wiring. It's really kind of confusing. I don't understand why they did that, but that's what you have. So basically, I recommend anybody who gets this gun, you're going to need to use a small LiPo or a 9.6 or 8.4 volt nunchuck type battery, because stock, the gun has this inside there. So basically what this does is when you slide it into the crane stock, like so, it basically serves as just another mount for your nunchuck type battery. If you take it out, you can fit a LiPo in there like I have pictured here. This is the LiPo that I use, and I still have to shove this thing in there. It's just a measly 7.4 volt 1200 milliamp hour, but yeah, I don't know. I really wish the G&G would improve their design on the wiring. It's really disappointing as far as battery space is concerned, but you can make do with like a 7.4 volt or 9.6 nunchuck, as I said earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the firing test. There's really nothing else to go over with this gun. I mean, I would show you guys like down the iron sights and stuff like that, but it's really quite simple. The iron sights are. In fact, I'll go ahead and show y'all just real quick. So these are your iron sights. You have the thick part, and you have like the little peephole bit for daytime viewing, and you have your, I do believe this is yeah, elevation and windage for adjusting the sight. So everything's pretty standard when it comes to M4 variants in airsoft. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how this gun shoots.